Hi, welcome. It's Tuesday, and today's question is: what kind of recurring situations or people do you attract, or maybe not attract, who you're not attracting into your life that you would like to attract? And how is this affecting you? Because when we attract people into our lives, they're showing us lessons. And it's important to recognize those lessons, but those lessons aren't always obvious, as I've realized. It's also about recognizing the gifts that we can give within those lessons, or more importantly, if we are attracting situations or people into our lives that we're attracting that are not quite resonating, it's wondering and finding the gift within that without getting entrenched in the fact that nothing seems to be working. Sometimes I have to learn this lesson that sometimes we just have to step back and be open to the lesson rather than get involved in the doing. So coming back to that more feminine space of looking at what we think, looking at how we feel, looking at that, knowing that we can move, that other people can consciously move as well, and that maybe sometimes we could be self-sabotaging ourselves and re-inviting those situations in and feeling a bit stuck because we're maybe afraid to let go, or we're afraid that we're going to hurt somebody, or what they're gifting us, or those people that we're attracting that may keep us a bit stuck and make it like really stuck in mud, so we feel like we're going through mud in life. Our situations, because we love people, but they may not necessarily want to embrace their own approach to the situation. And sometimes it's learning about letting go, growing up, moving on, and not becoming so entrenched in the situation or the lesson even, and recognizing that you only have to learn something once, but it's not our job to teach other people what that lesson is. So I'm going to give you an example. So, and I'll use myself because that's the only person I can really talk about. So I came to the UK 20 years ago. It's going to be 20 years ago, May 20 years ago, thought about coming to the UK because I felt at the time I wasn't really attracting flow in my life. I didn't feel that I was on par with my peers, and I certainly didn't feel that I was going in a direction where I felt free to move. And there was various reasons for that. There were individual reasons. I lacked confidence. There were family reasons. There was an ill parent in the mix. And there were also cultural reasons as well. I had a perception, and that was my perception about how things should be, and I was finding it just a little too hard to be nice. And I had learned this lesson. My dad had always said, if somebody starts treating you in a disrespectful manner, you have two choices. You can either stay in that or you can move on. And his advice was to move on. But I realized that moving on didn't let the lesson go behind. So I came, I worked, situations changed. I went home, I came back. Didn't really want to come back, but I came back because I didn't really quite know what else to do. Went back again at a period of time, went around the world, came back. And when I came back the last time, I had felt the whole thing had shifted. The lesson had just gotten bigger. It had just gotten, these people weren't just on the periphery of being attracted. These were individuals who were sitting in my direct line of sight every single day. And the situation was really uncomfortable. I was still being very nice. And I was eventually just losing perspective on lots of things. And it impacted my confidence, it impacted my self-esteem, it impacted my self-worth. But what it was really highlighting to me is that my self-worth, my self-esteem, and my lack of confidence had always been there. All that was happening is, as I was growing older, I was finding I'm not quite sure how to change this anymore. I'm not quite sure what to do to make it work, to make it be okay. So that was when I started to decide, or by seeing these three significant situations, that I wasn't getting the lesson, I wasn't getting the challenge, and I certainly wasn't embracing all of what I was meant to be. And there's two choices with that. You can just kind of take everybody with you, or you can move on. And I decided to take everybody with me, which is kind of had then another 10-year journey of moving through, still kind of making it the hard way and not lighting it up, not quite of being able to put myself in a partnership that's working, but I'm still in that kind of partnership where I sometimes and particularly are in relationship with the same kind of people, even though it doesn't resonate, it doesn't fit well, it doesn't feel good. I know what I'm thinking and I know what I'm feeling, and it can kind of have a downward spiral. But then it started to get to me in the last few weeks, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I've done an awful lot of work, and things don't magically change. We all have to go move through. But then I was like, there has to be something to work through. There has to be a lesson that I'm missing. There has to be a way that I'm perceiving something that I understand, but I'm not quite getting it, so that things can shift or they can change. And part of that might be, maybe I just need to put it all down. Just put it all down to experience, put it down and just let it go. And look to the other avenue, which is more uncomfortable because it's what I don't know. And I don't know it, and most people won't come with me on that trail, because the dynamic that I've been engaged in is not just an individual dynamic, it's a lifetime dynamic, and it's most likely down the generations dynamic of how we used to be and how we need to be and how good looks like. Where the new dynamic is, well, I don't know where it is. And so I reflected on this, and I really looked into the fact that when I started, excuse the plane, I can't do anything about it. When I started learning to navigate a race boat, I didn't know where the mark was. Most of the time, I never knew where the mark was. What I did know is that I had done my homework and I knew where I was. So I knew my position. I eventually figured out technology. I knew my position. And then what I had to contend with as I got better was the same kind of recurring people who were questioning where I was, what I was doing, where they thought the mark was. And it took me a long time to start to recognize, well, actually, I know the mark is over there in whatever direction, 2 miles off, can't see it, not going to see it. And I know it's there, and because I've done the homework, but the people around me haven't done the homework. And so it started to dawn on me that what I needed to attract was more of myself. I started to recognize that the partnership I needed to have was more of myself, recognizing that I had made a choice, and the choice was to be different, and the choice was to look at a different path and go down that path. Recognizing that I was going to do something that maybe 2 or 3 generations ago, women in my position wouldn't have been able to do. And additionally, embrace that I'm going to be a lot more emotional about it. And so sorry about the plane. What ends up happening is that, I'm going to be showing more vulnerability, which other people may or may not be okay with. But at least I'm doing that, because that is who I am. That's how I feel in partnership with myself when I'm in honest. And then go on that journey to start to trust my inner knowing. Now that's the question then. It's like, do you dance with life or do you not dance with life? And a couple of years ago, I was doing a piece of work in a group, and I realized that when we're born, we just are so vibrant, we're so curious, we're so eager to go and find things out. But as we go through those younger years and we start to see what we feel may be the harshness of life, so death, grief, illness, restricted behavior that's been passed down because we're all meant to keep safe, we lose that ability to dance with life. Or I certainly felt that I got caught up with wanting to engage, just not sure how to take those next steps to engage, how to shift the energy, how to move with it. And then yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody who was kind of feeling caught up of, I want to block it through. And I was saying, well, maybe we just put it down. Energy is everywhere. It's just going to move through us. And some people will have done work and some people will not have done work. but it's just allowing it to move. So I'm learning my own lesson here, is that maybe I can question it, maybe I can allow my emotions to flow, because it's better they're out than they're in, because then that's just additional work I'm not taking on at the moment to suppress anything more. And just be open to it. And it's okay if people don't get it, because many people won't, because it's a new way of being. But just because I'm being a bit more vulnerable, just because I'm being a bit more open, because I'm questioning, how do I take that step? Because even when I sat on boats and I mapped out the race, most of the time I didn't know what movements we were going to be making on the boat to get to the mark. To be perfectly honest, it took me a long time, and I'm still not able to do it, to call attack. I'm fine if I'm on the helm, but if I'm sitting on the side of the boat, I can't always measure up the way that goes, because that's a skill that gets developed over time. So really the point of today's in today's video is to look at the way you're expressing gifts to yourself, even though they may not look like physical gifts. Look at the people you're attracting, and instead of finding them a harshness or a problem or in the way, look at them and say, well, what are they teaching me? And additionally, start to be kind to yourself when they're teaching you a lesson that is going to individuate you, that's going to show you partnership in a different way, because then you have choice. You can hold a hand, and trust me, you can hold a hand and go down that road of the sludge, and that's fine. You'll still learn the same lesson at the end of it. Or you can actually start to recognize the kindness and the gift that you're giving somebody else by starting to embrace the gifts that you have to express, whether in your business, whether you're in creativity. It's entirely up to you, just like it's entirely up to me to be able to ask for something, just like I plan a race. I don't know where the mark is. I'm just putting the question out there because I want to learn the lesson, because I want to dance with life. And then, you know, I'll either find that next step, or somebody will come along with the hand to show me that next step, without expectation. And that's where I'd like you to use the Just Stop lesson today, to have some perspective and to just set into where have you had expectation. Because there's something in that for me, that when I've had a situation reoccurring, I'm expecting something to be different. I'm expecting something to change. I'm expecting the interaction to change. And I'm not quite sure how to change the interaction. I know that. I know plenty of interactions that I do where I am trying to change, and the key word is trying, my own thing, but I'm looking at how can I change, how can I come from a more open-hearted way, so I can look at it different perspectives, so that I can either change the outcome. But what's dawned on me as well is sometimes I have to learn to drop the expectation that I can change the outcome. So where are you doing that in your life? Where are you finding those kinds of situations and people that you are attracting? And where might you be afraid of success, that if they do come about, that you're going to go, oh my God, what am I going to do next? I'm just going to go back to who I was. Because it's really important that this becomes a journey, and that we do dance with life, and that we do move through whatever we've been in, and particularly if we've suffered loss, we've suffered grief, we've had our confidence knocked, we've been overwhelmed by things, and we're expecting it to, you know, certain people to support us, when actually part of the reason they're there is so that we can learn to support ourselves. And then it's also embracing what you want to attract, and just being open to that you might have to learn that as a lesson as well, because this is part of navigating uncertainty. This is part of navigating change. It's part of getting back your confidence. It's part of starting to manage the overwhelm, and it's starting to come from a different way of being. Instead of just getting in the weeds all the time, trying to do something, coming back into yourself, looking at the bigger picture, seeing how you think, knowing how you feel, knowing that you can move, and knowing that others have that same ability as you, and then consciously interacting with it, and just being open to what's happening. And that's a lesson for all of us. It's not just me on the thing. This is what I have to learn every day as well. And when does it arise, and in what form? And when do we let go? When do we let go of the expectation? When do we feel we're being entrenched, or when do we may feel that actually this entrenchment or this way of doing things might actually not align to how I feel about it, how I think about it, how I'm going to move through, and am I brave enough to go and dance with life in a different way? So that's where I'm going to leave it today. I'm Viv Bannigan. I'm the owner of Granuaile Limited. We work with creative and entrepreneurial women who feel a lack of confidence, overwhelmed, and are curious about their landscape and wanting to understand their vision for the future. And we do this by sharing our key framework called the map. If you've liked this video, please like it, please share it. That would be gratefully appreciated. We will be having webinars at Thursday at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. So if you want to register, the links are below. It's all about intention setting. It's all about getting your position and looking at what kind of daily tasks you can put into play to support the manifestation of your intention. I'm going to give you a word of warning, particularly for those who watch the videos regularly. I'm going to go to a different system in the next couple of weeks where I won't be doing as many lives into the Granuaile Facebook page. I'll just let you know that, but we are going to continue to do videos going forward. It's just that some things are changing for me personally. So with that, remember, the first person one leads is oneself, mind, body and spirit. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. I hope the sun is shining and I hope it's warmer than in London. So till Thursday, take care and goodbye.